I thought I would show you guys a quick video, yeah right, of me replacing the fuse and the thermostat in my Excalibur 4-tray dehydrator. The poor dear died on me about 2 weeks ago, and I contacted Excalibur support, and mine is no longer under warranty. It's about 3 years old. But after sending me a PDF with some basic troubleshooting and a couple of emails with the support tech, he said that I should replace the thermostat and the fuse. So I ordered them and they arrived today. So here is both the new fuse and the new thermostat. The kind of skinny wire on the end is the fuse. The rest is the thermostat, and they sent it in one piece, which makes it easy for me. Here are the instructions. It came with about 6 pages of instructions, but really it's repeat. It's 3 pages of taking it apart and 3 pages of putting it together. First step is to take off the front door. The next step is to unplug it. Then you want to remove the knob using the flathead. Oh, I forgot to mention the tools. Flathead, Phillips, and pliers. You want to take off the screws on the back, just the screws on the silver part of the. Don't take off the screws on the black plastic case. Leave that intact and just take off the 6 screws that are on kind of the metal flashing. So I went all the way around and got those off. And now you just kind of want to, that was easy. I just barely pushed on it and half of it popped out, but the rest of it's sort of jimmied in there, so I'm just going to shake it around until I can pull it out of the black case. So that is the part that we're going to be working with. This is a really good time to wash that case, because if you have one, you know it's not easy to keep that thing clean. So here's the fan, and it's in a metal cage, and up there is the thermostat that I am replacing, and the fuse is attached to it. That's where the little knob was up top. Now they said to put the flashing back in the same spot. Just kind of know where it is. It's opposite or on the bottom of where the thermostat is. They didn't mention, however, that the screw is actually shorter where the flashing is, probably to keep it from hitting the heating coil and the fan blade, but so I just made sure that I kept in mind that the short screw went with the flashing, and the flashing went on the bottom opposite of the thermostat. So now there are more screws to take off, but I already took them off. There were 2 screws down here on the end, so I took those off so that I could get the cage free. So right now the cage is already loose, and I'm just going to pop that right off the top so that I can access the thermostat and the fuse that need to be replaced. Simple. So there were 4 screws total. Okay, this is the thermostat and the fuse all connected up. They said to use pliers to get that nut loose, but I didn't need to. I'm going to take the nut loose that's where the fuse is, just that one. They had 2 words of caution: hold on to the coil and don't drop that in the hole. So I'm just going to screw it all the way to the end and then be really careful to make sure I have full contact with that thing as I'm rotating it. So now I'm going to slide the fuse off and just kind of push it up out of the way. And I'm going to put that nut back on because they said to be careful to make sure you don't let the whole thing slide out, and that coil is kind of pulling on it. So I just want it to stay secure while I work on the rest of the thermostat. So I'm going to remove this connector with the flathead screwdriver. I'm just going to kind of stick it in between and rock back and forth, trying to get that connector loose from the little prong it's sitting on. Eventually I'm going to get that to pop loose. There we go. It was a little sticky, but that's okay. So the last remaining thing to free my thermostat is to remove that screw. So I'm just going to kind of break it the seal and then use my fingers to untwist it. That's a very long screw. But I'm at the end, and my thermostat is now free from the housing. I don't know which part is broken. The fuse is at the bottom, the thermostat's at the top, but they're a unit. I got both of them. I could have switched them out to try to figure out which one was broken, but I didn't want to bother. I just replaced them both as a unit. Looks identical to the old one, so I'm just going to basically reverse what I did to get it out. I'm going to put it back in the unit, put the screw back in the top. Ah, that's much better lighting. Screw that in, pop that connector back in. Again, I'm just reversing the steps I did before, make sure it's nice and secure. It's a satisfying little click that you can't hear, but you can feel. Then I'm going to unscrew that nut, again holding onto the coil, and careful not to drop the nut in the housing. Slide the new fuse on, put the nut back on, again don't drop it, and hold that coil in on the other side until you get it nice and secure. I'm actually going to use the pliers to tighten it down a little bit more, if I can get them closed right. Nope, still not right. Okay, that's good. There we go. I don't want to over tighten it, I just want to make sure it's not going to come loose or lose contact when I put it back together. And that's it. My new thermostat is installed, my new thermostat and fuse. So I'm just going to reverse the rest of the steps, which is to put the cage back on, put the flashing back in place. And that was on opposite of where the thermostat sits, and it was the shorter of the screws. So now I'm just going to go through and put the rest of those screws in as well. They did say it was okay to use power tools for this part. As you can see, I'm having an annoyingly difficult time with the screws. So the last step is I'm just going to put the screws back. I've already put the housing into the case. Screw those all in. I should have showed that because you actually have to push it in and then slide it opposite the direction of the thermostat. It's easy to figure out though. But it was kind of a put in and then slide to the left. Now the top goes back on, the knob does, lining up the little tabbies. And that's it. My thermostat is reassembled. Now when I first plugged this in, the fan was kind of hitting the cage. You can't really hear it, but I can hear it. So I just squeezed the cage until I got it off of the fan. Now, one of the debugging steps was to push through the cage to the fan blades and see if the heating elements glow. And you can see mine are turning a nice deep orange, which means they are working. So I have heat again. And that's it. It was really pretty simple. I cannot wait to have banana crepes. So if you want to see what I make with this thing, or what I have made with it, click on the link above and stay tuned for more. And thanks as always for